In this video, I discuss step 4 of setting up your Windows virtual machine using Amazon Web Services. Step 4 is provisioning the computer with the software that you want to use. And in our case, the primary software that we're trying to install is Python and the R statistical language. Now, I left you at the end of the video for step 3 logged into your Windows instance using remote desktop services. And if you're already logged in, you can just go ahead and stay logged in. If you aren't, then I'm going to show you how to log in once again. The window that I have on top here is the Windows Explorer window for the folder Instance Data, where we had saved the information relating to this instance. And so to log into this instance, what I do is simply double-click on the RDP file that provides information to remote desktop services. So let me just go ahead and double-click on that. And I'll be prompted by a security alert as to whether I want to connect to this because the publisher can't be identified. And I'm going to go ahead now and check this box that says don't ask me again for connections to that computer, so I don't get this constantly, but just go ahead and click on connect. And now I need the password for the administrator account. Well, that password I saved in the Excel file that I put in the folder Instance Data. So I'm going to go ahead and open that Excel file. And this is where I'm going to record information about all of the instances that I create. At this point, we've only created one instance, instance number 1, and I saved the password. So I'm going to go ahead and select that cell, use Control-C to copy that password. I'm then going to pull forward the Remote Desktop Services program. And then I'm going to use Control-V to paste the password into the dialog and click OK. Now I get another security alert which is asking me about the certificate of the connection. And again, I think you're safe if you just go ahead and check don't ask me again for connections to that computer and click yes. Now please understand that what I just did will not work unless you have left the instance that we created running. You can disconnect from it, but as long as you haven't stopped it, then this is going to work just fine. And you can see that I have connected now to the desktop for the Windows server. Now if I hit the Windows button, I'll flip to the Start page. And you can see that I have Internet Explorer on this page, and I'm going to want to go ahead and run this. Now, the warning that's just come up explains that in general on servers, you should not browse the Internet. In browsing the Internet on servers, there's just too much risk that you're going to infect the computer with a virus or other malware. And if this is really a computer that's serving a lot of other computers, then there's a risk that you'll infect everything that you serve. As a result, Internet Explorer is set to a very, very high level of security, and it is set up so that it is extremely difficult to change that. And this, quite frankly, will drive you crazy if you try to use Internet Explorer to go out and get software, which is what we're going to be doing. So what we're going to do first is download another browser, in particular Firefox, so that we don't have to fight constantly with Explorer's security settings. Now, I have created a page on a website that I own that has all of the links to the software that we want to use to provision this computer. So the very first thing we're going to do is connect to that website and the page where these links are. So the website's name is datasciencesource.com, and the page name is Windows with a capital W, Instance with a capital I, Provisioning with a capital P. So we're going to Data Science Source, Windows Instance Provisioning. So now we've reached the page that has all of the links needed in order to provision the instance with the software that we're going to be using for doing data science. The very first thing we should do is go to the link to download the Firefox browser. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And we can go ahead and click OK on this security alert. So the next thing I get is a warning that I'm attempting to download a file from a website that is not trusted. So what I can do here is go ahead and click the Add button, which will allow me to add this website to the list of trusted websites. And then I click Add again. And now I can go ahead and click Close. And I now need to click the link to download Firefox again. And I go ahead and click OK for this security alert. And the Firefox installation program is now all set to download. I can go ahead and just click Save. And the download is now completed. It's very fast. And now I'll go ahead and click Run. So the installation wizard for Firefox has now launched. I can go ahead and click Install. So I've skipped forward to save time on the video. Firefox may take several minutes to download. But the next thing that I get is a dialog asking me what to import. And since I'm running Firefox on a brand new instance that really doesn't have anything yet, I can go ahead and check this box for Don't Import Anything and do Next. And I might as well go ahead and click on the box that says Use Firefox as my default browser. And then finally, I'm going to click Firefox for the default program to open a link of type HTTP. So I'm going to go ahead and make Firefox full screen, and I still have Windows Internet Explorer running, so I'm going to go ahead and shut that down. So I'll click on the Internet Explorer icon in the taskbar and then go ahead and click X. And now I'm going to be able to use Firefox to download the software I want without constantly facing the security alerts from Internet Explorer. But first I need to navigate back to the page that has all of the links of the software that I want to download. So I just clicked in the navigation dialog and that selected everything. And now I can put in the URL to that web page, which is data science source.com, and the actual page was named Windows with a capital W, Instance with a capital I, Provisioning with a capital P. And the case here in the things after the slash does matter, so it really does have to be capital W for Windows, capital I Instance, capital P Provisioning. And so we've now returned to the web page with all of the links that we're going to need. Now it's quite surprising to me, but it appears that our Windows instance has no antivirus software on it. It does have firewall protection, but not antivirus software. So the next thing that I'm going to do is install antivirus software, and this turns out to be quite a difficult problem on Windows Server. For your personal computer, there are many antivirus programs which are free that you can easily install, but almost all of them that I found did not work on Windows Server. The reason is that Windows Server is considered a professional computer, and the free antivirus software generally detects this and will not allow its installation. So I have found free and open source antivirus software called ClamWin that we are now going to install, and this requires two steps. The first is to install ClamWin, and the second is to install a program that allows continuous real-time antivirus scanning using the ClamWin capabilities. So I've now scrolled down to the second link here, and we'll go ahead and click on it. Now don't click on anything on this page that comes up. If you look closely, you'll see that there's a countdown for downloading the ClamWin software, and you'll get this dialog pop up, and you can go ahead and click Save File, and the software will download. Once the software has downloaded, you can run it by clicking on this down pointing arrow over here, which will expose the recent downloads, and then you can just click on ClamWin and the installation will begin. So you can go ahead and click Run on the security warning, and then once the installation wizard runs, you can click Next and then agree to the terms. Install the software for anyone who uses the computer. The default installation directory is fine. Integration with Windows Explorer here is fine as well. We really won't be using Windows Explorer, but that's fine. A ClamWin antivirus folder in the Start menu is fine. And we definitely want to download the virus database files, so we'll keep that checked and click Next. And then finally we can install it. Now, installation of the database files may take quite some time. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video until the virus database download is complete. So the download has now finished, and I can now click Finish on the installation wizard to complete the installation. So I can now close the ClamWin page at SourceForge and then go back to the page where I have all of the links for the software that we need. And now I'll scroll down to the next part of getting virus software on your instance, which is the installation of Clam Sentinel. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this link, and it will come to a SourceForge page again. And don't click on anything again, just go ahead and wait until your download starts. Once you get the dialog for saving the file, go ahead and click Save File, and the download will begin. Once the download is complete, which in this case was essentially immediately, you can click on the down arrow in this upper right hand side of the Firefox browser in order to see the recently downloaded files, and then you can execute the install program for Clam Sentinel just by clicking on it. Go ahead and run the program. Select the language, English. Go ahead and click Next on the installation wizard. Accept the agreement. Clam Sentinel should be started automatically for all users. You can accept the default installation directory and the name for the Start menu folder. And we really don't need either a desktop icon or a quick launch icon, because Clam Sentinel basically should be running all the time, and we can get to the program through the system tray. So I'll just go ahead and click Next here without checking any boxes, and then we can go ahead and click Install, and finally Finish. So Clam Sentinel is now installed, and it's actually come up with a dialog which in this particular case is hidden behind Firefox. But you'll notice down here on the taskbar there is an icon for Clam Sentinel. So click it to pull up the dialog, and then go ahead and accept this default that it is going to be checking the local disk C. This is the only disk, of course, that we have on this instance, so we'll go ahead and confirm that. So you'll notice down here in the taskbar there is now the icon for Clam Sentinel, and if you go ahead and click on that, you'll see that you can run various aspects of the program, but in particular you can start and stop the program. Right now you know the program is running and your computer is being scanned for viruses because the Start menu item here is grayed out. So that completes the installation of the antivirus software, and we can go ahead and close the page at SourceForge for installing Clam Sentinel. So now I'm back at the Windows instance provisioning page of Data Science Source, and we're going to install one of the two most important software packages that we are going to put on our Windows instance, and that is Anaconda Python. Python is a powerful programming language, and it's particularly important for us in data science because there are Python interfaces to practically everything that you're interested in connecting to or using. So much of the power of Python comes from the fact that it is open source, and there are many contributed packages that solve important and useful problems that you face in data science. The Anaconda Python package, it's really more of a collection, is completely free, and it includes many useful modules and other programs, and that includes the Spider IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, which provides an editor and a debugger and so on. There are basically two versions of Python at this point, Python 2.7 and Python 3.4. Both of these versions of Python are available as a part of Anaconda Python. Python 3 is a rewrite of Python that is not backwards compatible. So in a way, Python has forked into two closely related but different programming languages. I've experimented quite a lot with Python 3, and so far I've found that many of the packages that one wants to use have not yet been ported to Python 3, and trying to use Python 3 with Python 2.7 packages doesn't work very well and is rather unstable. So I consider Python 2.7 to be the production version of Python at present, whereas Python 3.4 is more of an experimental version, and we're going to focus our attention on Python 2.7 in this course. Now I'm about ready to download the Anaconda Python installer, but experience has shown that the antivirus scanning software is very likely going to quarantine this installer. And it's absolutely imperative that you turn off your virus scanning software during the Anaconda Python install. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the virus software. I do that by going down to the bottom right here and showing the system tray. And then I'm going to click on the Clam Sentinel icon here and move the cursor up to where it says Stop in this menu, and go ahead and click on that. And now the Clam Sentinel antivirus software is turned off, and I can go ahead and click on the link to download the Anaconda Python installer. And go ahead and save that file. And you'll see in the upper right here that the download arrow has changed to a little progress bar showing how far along we are in downloading this file. If I click on that, as before, I'm going to get a list of the recent downloads. So the Anaconda Python installer is now downloaded, and I can go ahead and run it by clicking on it. When the security dialog pops up, go ahead and click Run to run the installer. And then the installation wizard will appear, and you can click Next. Go ahead and agree to the terms. I will install it for all users. The default destination folder of C:\Anaconda is fine. I should accept these two default options that add Anaconda to the system path environmental variable and register Anaconda as the system Python 2.7. And so the files are now installing, and I'm going to go ahead and pause the video during the download process. So the files are now downloaded, and I can go ahead and click Next. And this completes the installation of Anaconda Python, so I can go ahead and click Finish. Now I'm ready to install the next major software package, which is the R statistical language, which we'll use for our data analysis. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the Clam Sentinel virus scanning software off while I do the next installations, just to make sure that the software doesn't interfere with the download and installations of the package files. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the download link here, and then when I get the dialog, I'm going to go ahead and save the file. And the installation file has now downloaded, so I'm going to click on the download arrow up in the upper right hand corner here, and then run the installer by clicking on it, and then click Run in the security warning dialog, and go ahead and select the language, and when the installation wizard appears, click Next. Go ahead and agree to the license. The default installation directory is fine. Go ahead and install all of the files. Accept the default startup options, and go ahead and accept the default for creating the shortcuts and the start menu folder. And then on this additional tasks dialog, you can go ahead and just accept the 3 defaults that are checked, and then the files will install. And finally, when it's completed, go ahead and click Finish. Now we've installed the R statistical language, but it does not include an IDE, an integrated development environment, that will provide a useful editor and debugger and so on. But there is a very nice integrated development environment that you can use for free called RStudio. So I'm going to go to the next download link here and click on the link to install RStudio. So when the dialog comes up, go ahead and save the file. It has already downloaded, so I'll open up the list of downloads and then run the RStudio installer by clicking on it. Again, for the security warning, click Run. When the wizard comes up, go ahead and click Next. Once again, you can accept the default installation folders and the default name for the Start menu folder, and the files will now download. Once the installation is complete, you can go ahead and click Finish, and the RStudio IDE is now installed. So I'm now ready to install the very last software package, which is called Cygwin. Cygwin is a collection of tools and utilities which are normally found on Linux or Unix-like systems, and they can be very helpful and convenient for handling things like large data sets. So we're going to go ahead and install a version of these tools that has been developed for Windows. So I'm going to go ahead and install this package with the Clam Sentinel virus software turned off as well. Now I'll click on the download link, and once again save the file. And the installer has already downloaded, so I'm going to click on the download arrow and then run the installer by clicking on it. And once again, click Run in the security warning. And when the installation wizard appears, I'm going to click Next. I'm going to leave the default here to install from the internet. The default installation directory is fine as well, and I will install it for all users. I can accept the default for the local package directory, and I'm going to be accessing the internet directly, so I have a direct connection. Now, this dialog is asking us to pick a mirror site for downloading the files, and I really should pick one that's as close as possible to my location. Unfortunately, no guidance is given to us about where any of these mirror sites are, so you're just going to have to look down through the list to see if you can find one that you think is relatively close to you. Now I've looked through the list, and I think the one that's probably closest to me is the one at gatech.edu, which is Georgia Tech. So I'm going to go ahead and select that mirror site. If you don't have any idea what mirror sites are closest to you, just go ahead and select one and see if it works, and it probably will. So now I'm going to go ahead and click Next on this dialog, and the files have started to download. Now the next part is perhaps a little bit tricky, but I want to install a package called C here. And so what I'm going to do is go up to this search box and type in C here. It's the letter C and then H-E-R-E. And this will search for the presence of that package in all of the various categories below. I can go ahead and install C here from any of these packages, but I'm going to install it from the first one, which is shells. So if I click on the little plus sign, it's going to expand this. And I can see that the C here package is right there, and currently it's set to be skipped. Now if I click on that, it's going to change to the version that it's installing, and I want to go ahead and install the latest version. I can cycle through what's available just by clicking. Skip 131, 141. So 141 is the latest version. So now that I have set C here to be installed, I can go ahead down and click Next. And then I get a dialog which is telling me about resolving dependencies, and I can just go ahead and accept whatever is in here and click Next. And the downloading of the files has begun. This can take a while, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the video at this point. So the Cygwin files have now downloaded, and I can go ahead and accept the two defaults on this dialog to create a desktop icon and to add the icon to the start menu. So go ahead and click Finish. So we have now successfully installed the Cygwin Linux-like utilities. We do need to do one more thing with Cygwin to complete the installation of that package that we included in Cygwin. That's the C here package. So I'll start by minimizing the Firefox browser, and I'm back to my desktop on the Windows server, and you'll see that there is now an icon for Cygwin that happens to have landed down here in the lower left-hand corner, and I can go ahead and double-click on that to run it. What has opened up is a command interpreter called the bash shell, which is generally found on Linux systems, and you can think of it as being similar to the command prompt in Windows. And now to complete the installation of C here, I can type in this window C here space -I and then hit enter, and it appears to have run correctly. And I can check this by launching the File Explorer, and then if I make sure that the File Explorer is selected, so I just clicked in the title bar, and then right-click in the middle of the window to bring up the context menu, I should see this menu entry bash prompt here. If that menu entry is not there, go back to the bash command prompt and type C here space -I space -F and hit enter, and then go back to your File Explorer, select it, and then right-click in the window again, and you should see this bash prompt here menu item. When you do see this menu item, you will have successfully installed the C here package of Cygwin. So I can now go ahead and just close these windows. And there is one more very important thing that I have to do, and that's to restart the antivirus software. So I'm going to go down here to this little arrow on the right and open up the system tray, and then pull up Clam Sentinel, and then mouse up to where it says Start, and I'm going to go ahead and click on Start, and that should restart the antivirus software. So now that all of the software is installed on our instance, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. In the next and final video on this series on setting up your AWS Windows instance, we'll do some checking to make sure that the software installed properly. I'll also address a few miscellaneous topics, such as how to log out of your instance or shut it down or reboot it. I'll also show you how to create an Amazon machine image, also called an AMI, that will allow you to launch new Windows Server instances that are already provisioned with all of the software that you just installed. This image will also serve as a sort of backup of the work that you have done provisioning the instance so far.